As the years pass and life settles into a quieter rhythm, there comes a deeper understanding of what truly matters, not the noise of the world, but the peace of a life lived with wisdom and care. In old age, a person carries a lifetime of experience, yet, with that experience comes the need for greater awareness, greater protection, and a clearer sense of what is allowed to enter the heart, the mind, and the home. Boundaries are not a sign of weakness. They are a sign of wisdom. A quiet strength that says not everything has access to your life, not every voice deserves your trust, and not every request deserves your yes. In a world that can often take advantage of kindness, it becomes essential to stand firm, to remain discerning, and to guard the life that has been built over many years. There is dignity in independence, a sacred value in being able to make your own choices, to live with clarity, and to remain in control of your own path. But independence does not mean being unprotected. It means being wise, being cautious, and being aware of the people and influences that surround you. As life progresses, it becomes even more important to understand that setting boundaries is not about pushing people away. It is about preserving your safety, protecting your peace, and ensuring that your life continues with the respect and care it deserves. And in that understanding, there is strength, there is wisdom, and there is the quiet confidence to live each day with purpose and protection. You reach a point in life where you start to understand something powerful, something most people ignore until it's too late. Your boundaries are not walls meant to keep the world out. They are lines of strength that protect everything you have worked for, everything you believe in, and everything you are becoming. And once you understand that, you stop apologizing for protecting your peace and you start standing firm in it. Too many people are taught that saying no is a weakness, that setting limits means you are being difficult, selfish, or closed off. But the truth is the opposite. Because when you don't set boundaries, you allow others to dictate your time, your energy, your emotions, and your direction. And over time, that will drain you, weaken you, and pull you away from who you are meant to be. Your boundaries are what keep you grounded. They define what is acceptable and what is not. They help you recognize when something is draining you instead of building you. And they give you the strength to walk away from anything that does not align with your values. Because not everything deserves access to your life, and not everyone deserves unlimited access to your energy. There is a quiet power in knowing where to draw the line. Because when you don't have boundaries, you are constantly reacting, constantly giving, constantly adjusting to others, and somewhere along the way, you lose sight of your own needs. But when you set boundaries, you take control back. You decide how your time is spent. You decide how your energy is used. And you decide what you will and will not tolerate. You have to understand that your time is valuable, your energy is limited, and your peace is something that must be protected. And if you allow people to take without limits, if you allow situations to drain you without control, you will eventually find yourself exhausted, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They are about creating a healthy balance. They allow you to give without losing yourself, to care without being consumed, and to stay connected without being drained. Because when you have strong boundaries, your relationships become healthier. Your focus becomes sharper, and your life becomes more stable. There will be moments when setting boundaries feels uncomfortable, when people push back, when they question your decisions, when they try to make you feel guilty for standing your ground. But that is when your strength is tested, because anyone can be open when it's easy. But it takes strength to stay firm when it is not. You have to remind yourself that you are not responsible for managing other people's reactions to your boundaries. You are responsible for protecting your well-being, your peace, and your future. And sometimes that means making decisions that others may not understand, but you don't live your life for their understanding. You live it for your growth, your stability, and your purpose. Your boundaries also teach people how to treat you. Because when you don't set limits, you allow people to treat you however they want. But when you establish clear boundaries, you communicate your worth without saying a word. You show that your time matters, that your energy matters, and that your respect cannot be taken for granted. There is strength in saying no, because every time you say no to something that does not serve you, you are saying yes to something that does. You are saying yes to your peace, yes to your focus, yes to your growth, And that is where real progress begins. Not in constantly giving yourself away, but in knowing when to hold back and when to move forward. As you grow, you begin to realize that the strongest people are not the ones who say yes to everything. They are the ones who know when to say no, the ones who protect their time, the ones who guard their peace, and the ones who stand firm in their decisions without being easily swayed by pressure or expectation. Boundaries give you control over your life. They give you clarity, they give you direction, and they give you the strength to remain steady in a world that constantly tries to pull you in different directions. And when you have that kind of control, when you have that kind of clarity, you begin to move with purpose instead of being pulled by circumstance. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop giving without thought and start giving with intention. And you stop allowing your life to be shaped by outside demands and start shaping it yourself, because you understand that your life is yours to protect, yours to guide, and yours to build. And when you stand in that truth, when you fully embrace the power of your boundaries, you begin to live with a quiet confidence, a steady strength, and a deep sense of peace that cannot be easily shaken, because you are no longer giving yourself away. You are standing firm in who you are, what you value, and what you will allow into your life. There comes a time in life when wisdom is no longer just about what you know, but about what you can see, what you can sense, and what you choose to act on. Because not everyone who comes into your life has good intentions, and recognizing that truth becomes a form of protection, a shield that guards everything you have built over the years. You have spent a lifetime earning your peace, your independence, and your dignity. And that is not something to be given away lightly, not to anyone, not for convenience, and not out of pressure. Because there are people who will see your kindness and mistake it for weakness. People who will see your trust and try to take advantage of it. And if you are not aware of the signs, those people can slowly disrupt the life you have worked so hard to create. Recognizing red flags is about awareness, about paying attention to behavior, not just words, because words can be used to persuade, to charm, to gain trust. But actions reveal the truth. Actions show consistency, and actions expose intention. And when you begin to look beyond what people say and focus on what they do, you start to see clearly who deserves your trust and who does not. There are patterns that should never be ignored. People who rush you into decisions, who pressure you to act quickly without giving you time to think, who try to isolate you from others, or who offer help that feels too good to be true. These are not signs of kindness, they are warning signs. And ignoring them can lead to consequences that affect your safety, your finances, and your peace of mind. You have to trust your instincts, that quiet voice within you that tells you when something feels off, because that voice has been shaped by experience, by wisdom, and by a lifetime of understanding what is right and what is not. And when something does not feel right, you should never ignore that feeling. You should pause, reflect, and give yourself time before making any decision. There is strength in slowing down, in not rushing to trust, in taking your time to observe people and their actions, because not everyone deserves immediate access to your life, and not every opportunity is as good as it appears. And when you slow down, you give yourself the clarity to see what others may be trying to hide. You must also be aware of people who rely on flattery, who speak only to gain your approval, who tell you what you want to hear, instead of what you need to hear, because flattery can be used as a tool to gain trust, to lower your guard, and to make you feel comfortable. But true intentions are revealed over time, not through quick words, but through consistent actions. Another red flag is inconsistency. When someone's words and actions do not match, when promises are made but never fulfilled, when behavior changes depending on what they want, these are signs that something is not right. And paying attention to these patterns can protect you from being misled or taken advantage of. There is no weakness in asking questions, in seeking clarity, in taking your time before trusting someone. Because wisdom is knowing that not everyone has your best interest at heart, and being cautious does not mean you are closed off. It means you value yourself enough to protect what matters. You have to be willing to set boundaries. You have to be willing to set boundaries, to say no when something does not feel right, to walk away when something does not align with your sense of peace, Because protecting yourself is not just a choice, it is a responsibility. And the more you practice setting those boundaries, the stronger your awareness becomes. There will be moments when people try to test your limits, when they push to see how far they can go. But those moments are not for you to give in. They are for you to stand firm, to hold your ground, and to remind yourself that your safety, your peace, and your well-being are not negotiable. You also have to stay connected with people you trust, people who genuinely care about you, people who will support you, guide you, and help you stay aware of situations that may not be clear to you. Because having a trusted circle can provide perspective, can offer guidance, and can help you see things you might have missed on your own. Recognizing red flags is not about fear, it is about awareness, it is about wisdom, it is about protecting the life you have built so that it continues to be strong, stable, and secure, because you deserve to live with peace. You deserve to feel safe. And you deserve to move through life without constantly questioning the intentions of those around you. And when you begin to recognize those signs, when you begin to trust your instincts, when you begin to set boundaries and pay attention to actions over words, you take control back, you protect your space, and you build a level of awareness that keeps you safe, strong, and confident in the life you continue to live with dignity and purpose. You reach a point in life where you start to understand that peace is not something you stumble upon. It is something you build, something you guard, something you defend with intention. Because without peace, everything else begins to fall apart. Your thinking becomes clouded, your decisions become rushed, and your life begins to feel heavy in ways you cannot explain. Protecting your peace means protecting your life. Because the two are connected in ways most people never realize. When your peace is disturbed, your focus suffers. When your focus suffers, your direction becomes unclear. And when your direction becomes unclear, your life starts to move without purpose. And that is when people begin to feel lost. Not because they lack ability, but because they have allowed too much noise into their inner world. You cannot afford to give everyone access to your energy. Because not everyone comes into your life with good intentions. Not every conversation builds you, not every relationship strengthens you, and not every environment supports your growth. So you have to be selective, you have to be intentional, and you have to understand that saying no to what drains you is saying yes to what protects you. There is strength in choosing peace over chaos, in choosing calm over conflict, and in choosing clarity over confusion, because peace allows you to think clearly, to see things as they are, not as fear or emotion tries to distort them. And when you can see clearly, you can move with purpose, you can make better decisions, and you can protect yourself from unnecessary harm. Life will always present situations that test your peace, people who challenge your patience, circumstances that create pressure, and moments that try to pull you into conflict. But how you respond to those moments determines the quality of your life. Because if you react to everything, if you allow every situation to disturb you, you will lose control of your peace. And once that is gone, everything becomes harder. You have to understand that your peace is not fragile, but it can be neglected. And when it is neglected, it begins to weaken, it begins to fade, and eventually, it affects how you think, how you feel, and how you live. So protecting your peace is not optional, it is essential. It is something you must be aware of every single day. There will be times when it feels easier to engage, to argue, to prove a point, to respond to every opinion thrown your way. But not every battle is yours to fight. Not every voice deserves your response, and not every situation deserves your energy. Because every time you engage in unnecessary conflict, you are giving away a piece of your peace, and over time, that takes a toll on your well-being. Protecting your peace also means protecting your boundaries. Because without boundaries, your time can be taken, your energy can be drained, and your focus can be scattered. But when you establish boundaries, you create structure, you create clarity, and you create a sense of control over your own life. You begin to realize that your time is valuable, your energy is limited, and your peace is something that must be protected with discipline. Because once you lose control of your peace, you begin to lose control of your life. And when that happens, you start reacting instead of leading. You start following instead of directing. And that is not the life you are meant to live. There is a quiet power in choosing to walk away from things that disturb your peace, in choosing silence over unnecessary noise, in choosing distance from people or situations that drain you. Because every time you make that choice, you are choosing yourself. You are choosing your growth. And you are choosing a life that is stable, focused, and aligned with who you are. You have to protect what you allow into your mind, because what you think about shapes how you live. And if your mind is constantly filled with negativity, with doubt, with fear, then your peace will be disturbed from within. But when you guard your thoughts, when you focus on what builds you instead of what breaks you, your peace becomes stronger, more stable, and more grounded. Peace is not something that comes from outside. It is something that comes from within. And when you take responsibility for it, when you protect it, when you nurture it, you begin to see how much it influences every part of your life, your decisions, your relationships, your health, and your direction. So you move with awareness, you speak with intention, you choose your battles wisely, and you protect your space, because your life is shaped by the peace you maintain. And when you commit to protecting your peace, you are not just preserving a feeling, you are protecting your life, your future, and the person you are becoming in the process. There comes a moment in life when you finally understand that every yes you give carries a cost. And if you are not careful, those costs begin to add up, slowly taking pieces of your time, your energy, and your focus, until one day you realize you have given too much of yourself away. And that is when you learn the true power of saying no. Saying no is not about rejection, it is about direction, it is about choosing your path instead of allowing others to choose it for you. Because every time you say yes to something that does not serve you, you are saying no to something that does. And over time, those small decisions shape the entire direction of your life. You have to understand that your time is not unlimited, your energy is not endless, and your focus is not something to be wasted on things that do not align with your purpose. So when you say no, you are not being difficult. You are being intentional. You are protecting what matters, and you are making space for what truly deserves your attention. There is a quiet strength in saying no, a strength that comes from knowing your value, knowing your limits, and knowing what you are willing to accept into your life. Because when you say no, you are declaring that your peace matters, your goals matter, and your well-being matters too often. People say yes out of obligation, out of pressure, or out of fear of disappointing others. But that kind of yes leads to exhaustion, to frustration, and to a life that feels out of control, because when you live to please everyone else, you end up losing yourself in the process. Saying no brings clarity. It allows you to focus on what truly matters, to prioritize your goals, and to move with purpose instead of being pulled in every direction, because not every opportunity is meant for you. Not every request deserves your time, and not every situation aligns with your growth. You have to give yourself permission to protect your energy, to guard your time, and to choose yourself without guilt, because self-respect is not about how much you give to others. It is about how well you protect what you have within yourself. There will be moments when saying no feels uncomfortable, when people question your decision, when they try to make you feel guilty for setting boundaries, but that is where your strength is tested. Because anyone can say yes when it is easy, but it takes courage to say no when it matters. You must remind yourself that you are not responsible for carrying the expectations of everyone around you. You are responsible for your own growth, your own peace, and your own direction. And sometimes that means making decisions that others may not understand, but that you know are right for you. Every no you say creates space, space for better opportunities, space for clearer thinking, space for stronger focus, and space for a life that is more aligned with who you truly are. Because when your life is filled with unnecessary commitments, there is no room for growth. Saying no also strengthens your confidence, because each time you choose yourself, you reinforce the belief that your needs matter, your voice matters, and your time matters. And that confidence begins to show in how you carry yourself, how you make decisions, and how you navigate the world. You begin to notice that people respect you more when you have clear boundaries, when they know you stand firm in your decisions, when they understand that your yes is intentional and your no is meaningful. Because consistency builds respect, and respect builds stronger relationships. There is power in being selective, in choosing carefully where your energy goes, in understanding that you cannot pour from an empty place. And when you learn to say no, you preserve your strength, you maintain your focus, and you ensure that you have enough to give to what truly matters. Life becomes more intentional. When you embrace the power of no, because you stop reacting to everything around you and start choosing what deserves your attention, you stop being pulled into every direction and start moving with purpose, and that shift changes everything. You start to see that saying no is not about limiting your life. It is about expanding it in the right direction, because every time you say no to distraction, you say yes to focus. Every time you say no to negativity, you say yes to peace. And every time you say no to what drains you, you say yes to what builds you. And when you fully embrace that truth, when you understand that saying no is how you say yes to yourself, you begin to live with clarity, with strength, and with purpose, because you are no longer living by default. You are living by design. Wisdom is not just about what you know. It is about what you choose to do with what you know. And one of the greatest signs of wisdom is understanding that life requires balance. The balance between holding on and letting go. The balance between standing your ground and knowing when to release what no longer serves you. There are moments in life when standing strong is necessary, when you must hold your ground, protect your values, and defend your peace. Because if you allow everything to push you around, if you allow every voice to influence your direction, you will lose your sense of self, and that is something you cannot afford to lose. Standing strong means knowing who you are, knowing what you believe in, and refusing to compromise your integrity for the approval of others. Because your character is built in those moments when it is easier to give in, but you choose to stand firm instead. But wisdom also teaches you that not everything is worth holding on to. Not every situation deserves your energy. Not every person deserves your presence. And not every battle is meant for you to fight. And when you understand that, you begin to free yourself from unnecessary weight. Letting go is not weakness. It is strength in its purest form. RMB, because it takes courage to release what you once held. Close, it takes strength to walk away from what is familiar. And it takes wisdom to understand that holding on too tightly can sometimes hold you back from what is meant for you. There are relationships that drain you, situations that exhaust you, and environments that do not support your growth. And wisdom allows you to recognize when it is time to step away, when it is time to release, and when it is time to create distance for the sake of your peace and progress. You have to be honest with yourself, because holding on to the wrong things can keep you stuck, can keep you from growing, and can keep you from moving forward into the life you are meant to live. And that is why letting go is not about loss. It is about making space. When you let go of what does not serve you, you create room for what does. When you release negativity, you allow positivity to enter. When you walk away from what drains you, you make space for what strengthens you. And that is how growth happens. At the same time, there are moments when you must stand strong, when challenges come your way, when pressure builds, when others try to test your resolve. And in those moments, wisdom tells you to hold your ground, to remain steady, and to trust in your ability to overcome. Standing strong is about resilience. It is about facing difficulty without losing your sense of purpose. It is about standing firm even when things are not easy. Because life will test you, it will challenge you, and it will push you to your limits. But how you respond defines your strength. You must learn to recognize the difference between what requires persistence and what requires release. Because not every struggle is meant to be endured, and not every obstacle is meant to be fought endlessly. Sometimes, the wisest choice is to step away and move in a different direction. The wisdom gives you clarity. It helps you see beyond emotions, beyond attachment, and beyond fear, allowing you to make decisions that are aligned with your growth, your peace, and your future. And when you operate with that level of clarity, your life begins to change. You stop holding on to things out of fear, and you stop letting go of things out of impatience. Instead, you move with purpose, you act with intention, and you trust yourself enough to know when to stay and when to walk away. There is strength in knowing when to fight and when to release, because both require courage, both require awareness, And both require a deep understanding of who you are and what you stand for. When you hold on to what matters, when you stand strong in the face of adversity, you build character, you build resilience, and you build a foundation that cannot be easily shaken. But when you let go of what no longer serves you, you create space for growth, for peace, and for new opportunities. And in that balance and that understanding, you find wisdom, the kind of wisdom that guides your decisions, shapes your path, and allows you to move through life with confidence, clarity, and strength, knowing that you are no longer reacting to life, but leading it with purpose and intention. In the end, wisdom is not found in holding on too tightly, nor in letting go too easily. It is found in knowing the difference and having the courage to act on it. Life will always present moments that test your patience, your strength, and your clarity. But when you move with understanding, you no longer feel lost in those moments. You feel guided. When you choose to let go, you create space for healing, for growth, and for new beginnings that align with who you are becoming. When you choose to stand strong, you reinforce your values, you protect your peace, and you remind yourself that your life has direction and purpose. There is power in balance, in recognizing that not everything deserves to stay, and not everything is meant to be released. Some things are meant to shape you, to teach you, and to strengthen you, while others are meant to be left behind so you can move forward. So trust your judgment, trust your growth, and trust your ability to decide what stays and what goes. Because when you live with that kind of awareness, you walk with confidence, you move with purpose, and you live with a strength that cannot be easily shaken.